Good evening, though it's not much of a good evening. Murderous madness twice in 13 hours. A 21-year-old man slaughtered 20 people and injured 26 more at a Walmart store in El Paso. And then in Dayton, Ohio, another terrorist killed 9 people and injured 16. It's a shock for all of us, but one that's all too familiar. Tonight we're going to bring you all the newest information on these mass shootings, plus talk with experts about possible solutions and how to best protect yourself in these soft target situations. We're going to try and get through this together. This is 5 on Your Side at 10.
Two cities touched by violence in less than 24 hours.
29 lives lost and countless others forever changed. First, a shopping center in El Paso, Texas, then a popular night spot in Dayton, Ohio.
And we need to love one another again.
In El Paso, prayers and support the day after terror.
Yeah, pop, 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 pop. It just increased the rapid fire to get as much people as could to kill.
Police say one gunman saturated a shopping center with gunfire before he surrendered to police. 20 lives were lost.
I got tired of waiting and waiting and waiting, and I just want to know where my mom is.
The gunman, armed with an AK-47 style rifle, identified as Patrick Crucius. Police believe he drove from the Dallas area to El Paso. About 20 minutes before the shooting started, he posted a manifesto, including racist and anti-government views. Investigators treating it like an act of terrorism.
And we're going to do what we do to terrorists in this country, which is deliver swift and certain justice.
An active shooter on 5th Street.
Hours later, more shooting, this time in Dayton, Ohio. Police say the shooter fired into a crowd as people look for safety. Police had the gunman down in less than a minute.
I would never in a million years think this would happen, especially somewhere I go all the time.
Police say the gunman was 24-year-old Connor Betts, his younger sister among 9 killed.
We will clearly pursue this investigation to try to understand motivation in this crime, assuming that there is a motivation that's understandable.
And the land is dark.
2 communities separated by more than 1,500 miles, but now united in grief.
How to spot the signs of a mass killer. A Missouri professor who used to work for the FBI studies how to prevent these tragedies. He says too many people don't know what to look for. Eric Feldman continues our coverage tonight.
As chaos rained down yet again, this time in El Paso and Dayton. A former FBI agent tells us something he's noticed.
And that's what everyone focuses is, you have the shooting and everybody swarms in and they take out the guy, all these tactics and procedures and stuff and triage they do on the victims and, getting down to the bottom of it, investigating it. But here's the problem, it's already happened. You already got a whole bunch of people dead.
Gregory Vecchi used to be the head of the behavioral science unit at the FBI, figuring out why criminals do what they do. He says not enough people can recognize the signs of a mass killer. Vecchi says there's a pathway to violence. He took us down that path. There's the trigger to anger, usually that's grievance. Vecchi says someone who feels he or she has been wronged. That could be about bullying at school, getting fired from a job. It could be toward an entire group of people, a hate crime. Vecchi says there are then likely indicators something is not right, that someone may be planning violence. That means knowing the baseline, how someone normally acts, and then seeing a radical change. It could be what someone's watching, posting on social media, what they're reading, where they're going. If that concerns you, then there's the preparation. Vecchi ran through those if someone could be thinking about a mass shooting.
You got to get ammo, you got to get the gun, you got to do training, right? He's asking people to go shooting. He's asking people to let him borrow a gun, whatever. He goes out and buys a gun. He's never bought a gun before.
If the red flags add up, then Vecchi says it's time to react. And he says many of these killers don't veer from that pathway of violence.
Now, Vecchi says he goes to schools and businesses to help people better understand the signs you heard about and much more. He also says it's up to police departments to have strong community policing so people feel more comfortable coming forward about possible threats.
So where do we go from here? It's the question we keep asking after tragedies like this. Our Chris Davis spent the day reaching out to local lawmakers to get their reactions and to ask the question, what happens next?
Well, Mike, Congress is currently in their August recess, which means they're not up in Washington, D.C. They're back here in their home districts. But one local lawmaker would like to change that. They'd like everybody to go back to D.C. to get to work on gun reform.
They are occurring too frequently.
Enough is enough, says St. Louis-based Congressman Lacey Clay.
These are weapons of war, and they do not need to be on the streets of America.
Clay says Monday morning on a call with Democratic leadership, he will urge Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi to call the House back to Washington for a special session on curbing gun violence.
That is the least we can do.
He's also urging fellow Democrats to support his own legislation that would allow local communities to pass their own gun control measures, like banning assault weapons, open carry provisions, and expanded magazines.
Here's how you get past the politics is that you confront the NRA, the National Rifle Association. I feel as though they are in a weakened position.
5 on Your Side reached out to every congressional representative in our viewing area in both the Show Me State and the land of Lincoln. Most did not reply to our request for an interview or statement. Missouri Governor Mike Parson is on a trip out of the country, but his staff pointed us to his 2 tweets, one for each shooting. After news broke of the massacre in the El Paso Walmart, Parson wrote, quote, "Our hearts break for the victims' families," and he hailed first responders as heroes. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin's tweets were much more pointed, reacting to the El Paso Killer's manifesto obtained by the FBI. He writes, quote, "Hate-filled, anti-immigration manifesto, Texas open carry law, military-grade weapons. Connect the dots and ask yourself when America will say enough." Republican Congresswoman Ann Wagner, whose district covers most of St. Louis County, also tweeted her condolences and called the acts domestic terrorism. She writes, quote, "We must identify and defeat rhetoric that allows these evil ideologies to infect our communities." Now, you may be asking, what will actually get done? Good question. Now, we do know that the president alluded to the fact this afternoon that he's interested in Congress getting, quote, something done, but failed short of giving any actual details of what he would support or sign. Now, meanwhile, Chuck Schumer, the minority leader in the Senate, said today that he would like the majority leader in the Senate to call a special session as well. So we now have interest in both chambers. Will a special session actually get called? We'll just have to wait and see. Live downtown, Chris Davis, 5 on Your Side.
Chris, thank you. In the hours and days after mass shootings, attention often turns to the weapons used.
There is intense debate over the Second Amendment. Our Sarah Maki reports that these mass shootings fire up the base on both sides.
The sign flashes open here at Southern Armory, as it does every Sunday, but owner Aaron Tarlow says business has picked up. More customers are coming in to buy, sell, trade their firearms, as they usually do after a mass tragedy. People pick up items they fear may be banned soon, like bump stocks after the Las Vegas massacre.
When they started talking about banning those items, immediately sold out. We couldn't get them at the wholesaler, we couldn't get them here. We had 2 in stock that were gone within the first day or 2.
Tarlow says the solution to mass murder does not lie in restricting his business. He blames the country's mental health system and advocates for a streamlined background check process.
Missouri has 21 days after you've been adjudicated mentally incompetent to update the FBI. Well, that's a 21-day window for you potentially to go buy a firearm.
And I've had so many friends reach out to me even in the last 24 hours saying, "I know you do this kind of stuff. How do I get involved?"
Kim Westerman wants change, too. She spent the weekend in Washington, D.C. with Moms Demand Action, a gun violence prevention group.
Yesterday was a hard day. We were all together when we heard about El Paso, and the news sort of rippled around the room.
About 2,000 volunteers met in the Capitol to organize and rally. 60 came from the Missouri chapter alone. She says that mass shootings bring gun violence to the forefront, strengthening their cause as well.
So I hope people feel this. I think we're all feeling sad today, but we shouldn't despair or be despondent. We should be fired up and ready to make our voices heard.
All right, so Tarlo, the gun store owner that you just heard from, he says he thinks he'll see a small increase in sales, but nothing overwhelming because his customers do feel pretty secure overall that there won't be major restrictions. As for Westerman and Moms Demand Action, they plan to go to the state's elected officials this week, advocating them to push for House Resolution 8 in Congress. That is bipartisan legislation requiring a background check for sales between two private parties.
And we are starting to learn more about the victims of these tragic shootings. Alvaro Mina found out his parents were among those injured in El Paso. His mother is stable and his father is critical after being shot in the stomach. He says there is nothing they could have done.
They parked and they couldn't even get out the car and they got shot. They were just barely getting in the wall when they got shot.
Investigators say they're working to determine if the gunman was working with anyone else when he attacked. He said he is said to be cooperating with this investigation.
It continued to happen. Like it was like pop, pop, pop. So then once everybody was on the ground, you could just see it, everyone's faces, like they were terrified.
And in Dayton, Taylor Mayberry was inside a bar when shots started outside. She says people hit the ground and started crawling. She hid inside the bathroom with about 10 other people and just waited for it to be over.
Fear, anger, sadness. These are just some emotions these shootings can bring up. They can actually affect you in several ways. Trauma therapist Rochelle Moore says you should express how you feel.
People need the permission to know that it's okay to not be okay. Be able to say why you feel that way so you recognize your emotion so that you can relate to it and release it.
Now, if you need an outlet to cope, we're told working out, writing down your feelings, or just talking about it can be helpful.
It's a sad reality, but it is a reality. A shooting can happen anywhere, and there are some things you can do to protect yourself if you find yourself in this type of situation. Security professional Andre Edison says there are certain things to look for, and it's as simple as picking out a place to sit when going out to eat.
I'm looking for a seat that gives me a view of everything in front of me. You don't want to be in a position where things can occur behind you and you can't really determine what's going on. If you can see it in front of you, you can react quickly and make the decision that needs to be made.
Edison says you should also avoid a booth. It's easier to get out of a chair. Plus, be aware of exits in a movie theater. And on the street, put away your phone, walk with a purpose, and keep your head up and be aware of your surroundings. There are more tips, including when to fight back. Andre will be in studio at 10:30 to share them with us.
Messages of condolence have been pouring in across the country and from around the St. Louis area.
Hate has no place in our country, and we're going to take care of it.
President Trump has ordered American flags lowered to half-staff following the shootings in Texas and Ohio. The flag will be lowered at all public buildings and grounds and U.S. military posts until sunset on Thursday.
So how many mass shootings have there been in the U.S. this year? You may have seen some conflicting numbers. Reporter Steve Steger explains the data.
Perhaps you've seen the stat going viral on social media today, claiming this country has seen 251 mass shootings in the 216 days so far this year. The Gun Violence Archive, a nonprofit group maintaining data on this, actually has since updated that number to 253 mass shootings. But as with anything involved in this conversation, context is important. The Gun Violence Archive considers a mass shooting anytime 4 or more people are shot, not necessarily killed. We looked back at some of their data from the last week. It includes Dayton, where 10 people were killed, including the shooter, and more than 24 others were wounded in a popular entertainment district. El Paso, where 20 people were killed and 26 others shot inside a Walmart. The Gilroy Garlic Festival, where 4 people were killed, including the shooter, and 13 others were wounded. Other shootings included in the data are shootings in Philadelphia, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, Columbus, Ohio, Suffolk, Virginia, and Chicago. Again, in each of these incidents, 4 or more people were shot, not including the shooter. The shootings in Chippewa Falls and Suffolk involved multiple family members. One of the 2 shootings in Chicago was a drive-by. There's no legal definition of a mass shooting in the United States, but the government defines a mass killing as 3 or more deaths in a single event. So far in 2019, 31 shootings meet that criteria, including Gilroy, El Paso, and Dayton, added to the list this past week alone.
When something like a mass shooting happens, it is almost instinct for people to hop online, join conversations, and start sharing. But we must use caution because there are a lot of claims out there. Our Verified team takes a look at what's true and what's false. Here's Jason Puckett.
Not only are some viral claims false, some of them actively seek to change the conversation or mislead. Like these 2 examples we've seen online after the major shootings this weekend. This is an article posted on Gateway Pundit with tens of thousands of shares, and its core claim is being repeated across social media. Now, it claims the El Paso shooter's information has been changed online and suggests it was done for political purposes. But there's a problem. It bases this claim off screenshots from mylife.com. It's a site that gives basic information on pretty much anyone in the country based off public records, social media platforms, and more. But it can literally be changed by anyone. You can watch us do it. We loaded that same page from the article. It now says he's an African-American Republican. A few clicks, and I've changed it to say he's a Caucasian Democrat and that he's agnostic. Save it, refresh it, and my changes are still there. So what does this mean? Well, it means any claims about a shooter's motives, political affiliations, religion, income, or really any information at all coming from mylife.com can't be trusted. The information on the shooter's pages can be manipulated by anyone for any reason. And sites like Gateway Pundit are sharing that false information and building a narrative around it. Bottom line, claims based off mylife.com data are false.
If you have something you'd like us to verify, let us know. You can contact the 5 on Your Side Verified team through Facebook, Twitter, or by sending an email to verify@ksdk.com.
Let's talk about a little good news. Our weather has brought us good news for the last week or so, although it did get a little humid today.
It got a little humid today, but you know, it was I knew it was coming and I didn't think it was too bad. I took a walk on our dinner break with Morgan and it was pretty nice, wasn't it, Morgan?
It was.
It's kind of nice to have that humidity back, at least in the evening. In the middle of the day, when you're out in the thick of it, not so great. But let's go over our temperatures right now. We are currently, I've been pointing this out every night because it's very noticeable right now, is the urban heat island effect. The closer you are into a very metropolitan town, look at St. Louis is at 79 degrees right now, the warmer it is. You get further out of town, into the country, and your temperatures are much cooler. It is 70 in Alton, 70 in Litchfield, upper 60s in Warrenton. Let's take a look at our low temperatures for the night tonight. We will cool down once again into the mid-60s. Now that's a treat this time of year because usually we're in the low 70s. It can get a little humid and sticky. We'll have a clear night tonight. We'll be at 65 in Crystal City, 65 in Chesterfield, upper 60s for St. Louis and St. Charles. It'll be 63 in Alton and about 64 in Litchfield throughout the night tonight. Satellite and radar, it's nice and dry for right now. Look at this though, as we pull the view back a bit, there's quite a bit of activity across the country. We have certainly some tropical moisture out there further to our south, and this is the next system that's gearing up to come in our way. So let's go over the futurecast for you. We will have some clouds start to push in late tomorrow, and then that system drops down out of the north late on Tuesday. It starts to affect our state. Does seem to form a bit of a front overnight Tuesday, comes in Tuesday morning to the St. Louis area. Then it falls apart pretty quickly. Then Tuesday we could be dealing with just some regular lingering thunderstorms after that. For tomorrow, 87 degrees by noon, 89 by 2 p.m. and 91 for our high temperature. But remember, the humidity is back, so that 91 will probably feel more like 98 degrees. Our 10-day forecast for you, 91 degrees for tomorrow. We do have storm chances almost every day, as you can see the percents there. But Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, better chances for those isolated storms. Those also return on Monday and Tuesday of next week. We'll have some sort of sun and cloud cover almost all week long. And notice the trend, we're warming up kind of close to average, and then we're cooling off yet again for Friday.
All right, Tracy, thanks. Well, Cedric the Entertainer took a break from TV work to come home to St. Louis, the comedian's serious mission while he's in town. After After the terrible stories of the weekend, we could use some laughs, and that's what Cedric the Entertainer does for a living. The St. Louisan took a break from his television work this past week to come home to visit family and to visit a place that's in his family's heart.
Man, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
When Cedric the Entertainer comes back to St. Louis, he always brings something with him. Laughs.
Joy, people often ask me, why you had no security guard? I'm like, I don't really need no security guard. I walk with Jesus.
Of course, like a shadow, the laughs follow him no matter where he goes.
What's up, bro? What's up with you, man?
Whether it's a meet and greet at iHeartRadio,
what if you weren't entertained?
Or on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
I mean, the job I would want to be, I would probably want to be Pope.
What you may not know about Cedric the Entertainer is that he often trades in the limelight to bring some light to patients at SSM Health St. Mary's Hospital.
Thank you, Mr. Cedric.
All right.
God bless you. I can keep this for the rest of my life.
All right, man.
Cedric and his sister Sharita Kyles Wilson have been ambassadors for SSM Health since their late mother, Rosetta Boyce Kyles, was a cancer patient at St. Mary's.
It was almost an opportunity that we saw to give back to an organization that had given us so much at a time when we were really very fragile.
Rosetta Boyce Kyles spent more than 30 years as an educator while raising her 2 children. When she was diagnosed with cancer in 2009, it wasn't easy for Cedric to focus on the funny.
Whenever I got a break, I would come home, but she was like, you know, your sister's here. I'm good. I see your face. I know that you care. Go do your job.
Ms. Kyles lost her fight in 2015. And then Cedric and Sharita made sure that she'd leave behind more than just memories. They cut the ribbon when the Rosetta Boyce Kyles Women's Pavilion was opened at St. Mary's in 2016. The mission? Education and access for women's health.
We are all in on making sure that women have access to the health care needs that they have.
With people like Cedric and Sarita, they're kind of the spark to really ignite other people to help us as well.
Planning is well underway for the annual December fundraiser, an event called A Not So Silent Night,
where I do music and comedy and food and dancing and games. It's just live. It's a great time, and we call it the craziest office, the citywide crazy office Christmas party.
From OB to sports injuries to cancer, diabetes, all of these different issues that...
Women's health is serious business, but sometimes laughter can be the best medicine.
I would think I would have a problem with the Pope Mobile. Like, I like the idea of being a glass, but I'm kind of from the hood, so I need it tinted. I need it tinted out.
Making people laugh and making a difference. Somewhere a mom can be proud.
I know that she is smiling on us.
If you'd like to learn more about the Not So Silent Night event, we can link you to their website when you go to the story on KSDK.com. And a reminder, if you know an inspiring person or someone making a difference, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com.
Coming up, Lincoln County is growing fast. Now they want to improve their emergency response, but the upgrade could cost you.
A 4-year-old boy accidentally shot himself. It happened last night in North St. Louis at a home off MacArthur Avenue. Police say the boy found a gun and accidentally fired it. We don't know yet where the bullet struck him. He was critically injured. 2 adults are now facing child endangerment charges.
Well, every second counts when it comes to a life or death situation. That's why Lincoln County Ambulance District wants to improve their response time. They are lagging behind the national average. Usually it's 8 minutes. For Lincoln County, it's 12. We are told they are the fastest growing county in the state, and they want to add 3 more ambulances and reposition their stations. But this could cost you if you live there in the form of a 35-cent property tax increase. But for one cardiac arrest survivor, he says it's worth every penny.
Basically, I was flatline cardiac arrest. Their quick response, and with their help, and with the help of many others, I was basically brought back.
Lincoln County voters will be asked to decide during the countywide election this Tuesday. The polls will be open from 6 in the morning to 7 at night.
Former St. Louis County Executive Steve Stenger will be sentenced on Friday, and his defense team is fighting for less prison time. Stenger pleaded guilty to federal pay-to-play charges back in May. Prosecutors say he deserves nothing less than 3 to 4 years. The defense released a memo today arguing Stenger should serve no more than the minimum sentence of 37 months. Stenger was also ordered to pay $130,000 in restitution.
Ferguson Unity Weekend wrapped up with an event to help make sure kids have what they need to go back to school. Today there was a backpack giveaway at the Emerson Family YMCA. This was the 5th year for the weekend-long event, and the purpose is to help bring people together each year in Ferguson around the anniversary of the shooting death of Michael Brown. Brown's death sparked weeks of unrest in Ferguson. Organizers say there was a little bit of everything for families to enjoy today.
We have an abundance of wraparound services for the families and youth. We're giving away backpacks full of school supplies, of course, but then we also have the Metro Market bus here for them. MoDOT is here. We've given them free food.
There were 1,500 backpacks to go around today.
2 tragic shootings in less than 24 hours. Coming up, a security expert tells us what we can do to protect ourselves in these soft target situations. In just the last week, 34 people have died at the hands of a mass shooter. 10 were killed in Dayton early this morning, 20 in El Paso yesterday, and 4 in Gilroy, California a week ago. More than 3 dozen more were injured in those shootings, numbers that are startling.
And with the news of so many tragic, senseless shootings in our nation recently, many are being forced to wonder how likely they are to find themselves in that situation. Worse, some are starting to expect it.
I had a feeling something would happen to someone I knew eventually, because it keeps happening and keeps happening. It wasn't a surprise when I heard this morning there was a shooting in Dayton. I was a little surprised, but not very.
That woman is Dana Raber. She was friends with the Dayton shooting suspect's sister, who was also killed today. Mike.
Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves in these soft target situations? Joining me now is security professional Andre Edison. So these shootings happen in a Walmart and also in a night spot, kind of like the Central West End or Washington Avenue. Let's start with the Walmart. You're going in, you're shopping with your family, back to school. Is there anything you can do to be prepared for something like this?
The best thing you can do, Mike, is understand your surroundings. When you go inside, you want to know where easy exits are. You want to know where, if someone comes in, what you can do, where you can go to be safe. You can't change the stores that you go to, but you can be prepared by knowing where the exits are at each store, each location that you go.
When we talk about soft targets, it would be something like, you know, you're with your family on Art Hill, or like we mentioned, on Washington Avenue. There's not really exits in that situation, so what do you do in that situation?
Well, the first thing you should do is get down. You get down, you look, you listen, you find out what's going on, and then after you assess it, you act. You can't, every situation is dynamic, every situation is different. What you want to do is get away from the event. What you can't do is do nothing. Once you get down, you understand what's going on around you, you make a decision that's best for you. You know, and people talk about run, hide, and fight in the workplace. It's a similar event when you're outside. You really have to be empowered to fight if you feel that's what you need to do. So if you're at a bar,
it's hard to fight somebody with an AK-47.
You know what? But you have to have the mindset, and the mindset isn't, well, he's got an AK-47 and I've got this bottle of beer. The mindset is, he has an AK-47 and he's trying to take me away from my kids. He's trying to take me away from my loved one, and I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent that from happening. And that's the mindset that you have to have. That's a survival's mindset. And that's really what you need to have.
So throw the bottle of beer, throw
Absolutely.
Whatever you can find.
Absolutely, because a person, if you throw something at a person, their natural instinct is to duck. And if they're ducking, then they're not shooting. And if they are shooting, they're not pointing it at you.
It is just so disheartening that you cannot go to church. You can't go to a movie theater. You got to be careful where you park. How do you get it in people's mindsets? They just have to be aware.
It's just that. You have to understand that we're living in a different society these days. It's, you know, as you were growing up, sometimes you went into a location where you weren't quite familiar. You didn't feel good about it. So what did you do? You looked around. You looked at doors, exits. You're thinking, okay, If I need to leave fast, this is where I would go. Unfortunately, we have to do that everywhere we go these days. You have to have a plan before a plan is needed. So that's the best thing you can do. Just be aware of your surroundings and be prepared to act and hope you never have to.
Andre, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your expertise.
No problem. Thank you,
Mike. Thanks very much.
We will continue to update you on the investigations into these tragic shootings. Tomorrow, NBC will have a special edition of the Today Show right after Today in St. Louis. Lester Holt will be in El Paso, and Craig Melvin will report from Dayton. Tracy Henson joins us now. And Tracy, the humidity is coming back, but it wasn't so bad. Tonight was kind of nice.
No, we were out for a walk earlier, Morgan, and it was pretty nice.
And we can't complain. I mean, it's St. Louis in early August, for heaven's sake.
Beginning of August, and I say we've kicked things off really nicely. All week while Scott Connell's been on vacation, he has missed some lovely weather, but he's back just in time for the heat come Tuesday. Looking outside downtown right now, we are nice and quiet. Our temperatures are still fairly warm. That's no surprise. 79 degrees. Heat index is back. Well, only 1 degree though. Feels like 80. Our humidity is at 56%. For the rest of the night tonight, we will be just a little on the humid side. We'll have a nice clear night. Winds will be out of the northeast at just 5 miles per hour. 70 degrees for your low temperature for us. For tomorrow, we are going to warm up quickly into the upper 80s by 2 p.m. By 4 p.m., we're looking at 91, 6 o'clock. We are looking at 89 degrees. We will have, as you can see here, we'll have a push of late cloud cover. That'll be the sign of change because come Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it does look like I'll be keeping an eye on scattered thunderstorms out there. We have a chance for that each and every day, really until Sunday when things dry out again. By no means will this be widespread rainfall, just a few scattered thunderstorms, kind of making things more interesting when you head outside.
All right, Tracy, thank you. Well, with the college football season right around the corner, some believe the Missouri Tigers have what it takes to win the SEC East, including Morgan.
I do.
Hear from Coach Barry Odom on what it's going to take to do just that.
The 5 on Your Side Sports Desk is sponsored by Mattress Direct.
What's going on, St. Louis and Illinois? You know, the best way to describe the 2019 St. Louis Cardinals, a roller coaster ride. Here's why. The buildup of the season had every fan speculating about a World Series title. After a rocky start, we saw the team reach new heights, taking first place in the Central Division, all to take a big drop. They lost possession of first place, and, well, now they're trying to build themselves back up again, and it was a bumpy ride today. Looked good to start. Paul DeYoung went Paul D gone for his 19th home run of the season to give the Redbirds a 1-0 lead, but as we've seen several times, the bats go cold and the pitchers give up runs. Dustin Garneau with a rocket off the bat to center. That would plate 2 runs. The A's go up 2-1. Then in the bottom of the 6th inning, Jurickson Profar takes Waino deep to put the A's up 3-1. That will be it for Waino. He finished with 7 Ks and those 3 earned runs you saw. Cardinals would try and make it a game. Colton Wong shoots one to opposite field. The Big Bear, Marcell Ozuna, hustling from second. That brought the Cardinals within 1 run. But in the bottom of the 8th, John Gant throws one into the dirt. A run would come in to score, and that was all she wrote. The Cards will fall 4-2. As for the Cubs, they're back in first place, and, well, they're playing like they don't want to give it up. First inning, Christian Yelich takes Yu Darvish deep, trying to end the Brewers' 3-game losing streak. But in the bottom half of the inning, the former Cardinal Jason Hayward said not so fast. He hits a bullet to left center. That would tie the game at 1 apiece, and he wasn't done there. He blasts this RBI triple to right field, and the Baby Bears would take a 2-1 lead. And then there's this guy named Kyle Schwarber, and, well, he was on cleanup duty in the 5th inning. Cubs will go on to win 7-2, and they move 1.5 games ahead of the Cardinals in the NL Central. Now back to the Redbirds. Matt Carpenter made his return to the club today. Now fans are wondering, when will Yachty make his return? According to reports, it's supposed to be soon, like maybe this week. But in the meantime, he's just trying to get back in shape. He did say the other day, though, Memphis isn't so bad when you have a bunch of your teammates down there with you.
Feel like home. I mean, we got Carp and Bader there. We got Alex Rayer, Ponce de Leon. We got all the guys that we spend time in spring training. To spend time with them, I mean, it's just great. To play in the same game right here between that line, I mean, it's just a great time.
Now let's talk to Mizzou Tigers football. We're 27 days away from opening kickoff against Wyoming, and it appears as if the Tigers are headed in the right direction. They have their quarterback, they have the linemen, and they have a defense. What's the only thing they're missing? Well, according to Barry Odom, it's the bond of a family. But he said that will come over the course of time. He said he likes where his team is, and a few of his players said the sky is the limit for the Tigers.
You look at the culture on the guys that we've recruited, you look at the culture and the direct ownership that we have on who we want to be. What's our DNA? You know, the experiences that these guys have formed together. It's a brotherhood built on love and trust and honesty.
The guys hungry. You know, it would be easy to say we got a chip on our shoulder, but it's more like a boulder. And, you know, those guys, you know, just so eager, high energy guys, and I feel like I fit in well with them.
My goals are no margin for error. I don't want to see us make no mistakes, because, you know, mistakes get you beat. So I just feel like at the end of the day, when we're at our best, we can win games.
And yesterday, we saw some of the greatest NFL players take the stage in Canton, Ohio to receive that precious gold jacket. Guys being inducted included Ty Law, Ed Reed, Champ Bailey, and the Tony Gonzalez. And while they touched many with their play on the field, it was their words yesterday that hit home for some.
Mom, we are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Nobody can take that away from us.
He would always say this one phrase that stuck with me through and through. If you're gonna do something, try to be the best at doing it. And I think I did a good job trying, Pop.
Thank you for taking that chance on me. And I know we had our battles during contract negotiations, but we always got it done. And thank you for paying me. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, hear from one Illinois coach on why the Fighting Illini are making an emphasis to recruit St. Louis kids. That story is next. Welcome back. We continue to talk football, but this time over in Champaign with the Fighting Illini. Now, if you look at their roster come kickoff for their first game, you may notice they have a few St. Louis players on their team, like their starting quarterback Isaiah Williams, who's supposed to take over. But it's not by accident. If you ask their coach, Corey Patterson, who recruits St. Louis kids, he said this area has some of the best talent the country has to offer.
I saw Lovey earlier, and he told me that you guys were trying to take over St. Louis. Is that something that the coaching staff talks about a lot?
Yeah, I feel like that's our place, because St. Louis is so close to us, and we treat St. Louis as if it's in Illinois. I think that when some of the other players from the area see these guys playing and having some success, that'll definitely help us in recruiting.
St. Louis was not getting the attention it deserved when it came to recruiting. Let's talk about why do you think that was back in the day?
I don't think there were enough people that were pushing our athletes. We have enough guys that had the athletes in mind when it came to our high school sports. Mm-hmm. And I think now it's a bunch of those guys around now.
Let's talk about some of those guys. You got your guy at Trinity Catholic, Terrence Curry. Then you also have Carl Reed Jr. at Luther North and Brandon Gregory at Cardinal Ritter and so on. Can you talk about what those coaches are doing to prepare those players for the Division I stage?
I think a lot of those guys that you named, including guys like Darren Sunkett over at East St. Louis, those guys, they have the players in mind first. They have the players' futures in mind first. And I think that always will play a big part in those guys' success.
Shout out to Coach Patterson, commencing the University of Illinois. Let's get lit.
You guys are riding this wave and you're getting a lot of players. Where does this come from?
Our head coach, he's coached in St. Louis. He thinks the talent in St. Louis is really good. So that's one of those things. St. Louis is like Illinois does.
For young recruits watching this interview and they are at home working out and they're just asking themselves, how can I get to be a Division I football player? What's your message for them?
Put your head down and work. I've said that forever since I've had youth football players. You always got to grind. You always got to be willing to do a little bit more than everybody else. Twitter isn't real, so you always got to be really working. Okay. Like, you got to be verified in real life. That blue check don't mean nothing. One thing that will get you noticed around here is my head coach loves to see track times. So if you can run, I suggest you get out there on that track and start patting your feet a little bit.
So for those coaches who always tell football players only lift weights in the off season, you heard Coach Patterson, run track. head coaches love to see track times, and you guys like to being verified in real life.
Twitter isn't real.
I love that.
How good will Illinois be this year?
I think they
It's
have
been
a
a
chance,
while.
I think they have a chance to win more than 5 games. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that they'll win a majority of their games, but they have a lot of talent, and Lovie Smith, his first recruiting class, are juniors now, so they should be good.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10.
Have a great night. He said be verified in
You've been watching 5 on Your Side. Weather rate certified most accurate in St. Louis for 2 years.